How's it going, guys? Will here, and today we're going to be taking a look at what I'm keeping on my phone in the middle of 2020. And seeing as I am still a digital minimalist, there's not a lot, and they're usually pretty universal. Now, I know I already did do one of these at the start of the year, but seeing as so much has changed at this point, an update was definitely due, so this is what I keep on my phone. First off, we have my organization system. I personally like to use folders split into utilities, photo and video, social, medical, games, and the new folder, productivity. If you've seen any of my videos like this before, then you may already know that I personally like to make good use of the stock apps. And while this is still mostly true, I have stopped using a few. Most notably Mail, I just don't like it as much as the Gmail app, but also the calendar, as this is a pretty important part of my productivity system. Other stock apps I use include Safari, Messages, Music, and of course, the weather app. I also like to use the Notes app. In fact, I actually wrote this video in the Notes app, as it syncs with all my other Apple devices such as my computer, so I can always edit my scripts on the go. Obviously, I also use the camera app, but not exclusively, and we're going to be talking more about that later. I also use a few more assorted stock apps, but those are the main ones. The first folder we're going to talk about is the Utilities folder, as it's the first on the screen, and as mentioned, the first tab I have here is Gmail. I personally like this app because it is better organized than the stock app, and it allows me to easily sort and prioritize my emails. Therefore, I am willing to have it on my phone. Following this, we have the Google Sheets app. I use this mostly for planning, and once again, I really like how it syncs up with the Google Cloud, so I can update my spreadsheets from any computer or device with an internet connection and have those files readily available. The last app of significance in this folder is the Podcasts app. I do occasionally like to listen to a good podcast, so I like to keep this on here. Overall, this is probably my least used folder, but the apps I have on here are still used at least once a month, which is why I keep them on my phone. Appropriately following on from this, we have probably my most used and biggest folder on my phone, my photo and video folder. Now, there are 9 apps in this folder, starting off with Instagram. I use this to post photos, snap stories, message friends, and get inspired. Recently, I've started using Instagram again simply to post my photos, and I've been enjoying it a lot. The messaging feature also works great, and overall, this is probably one of the most used apps on my phone. The next app I have on here is YouTube. Naturally, I keep this on my phone, and honestly, this is probably my favorite video streaming service. I really enjoy seeing what other people create, most recently people like Austin Paul and James Hoffman. It just inspires me to improve my own videos and help me think of new ideas. After this, I have YouTube Studio, which is basically just a tool that tells me everything I'm doing wrong, and Lightroom Mobile. I've talked about this before, but this is by far my favorite mobile photo editing solution. I love how intuitive it is to edit with the touchscreen. I can load up my own presets, and I edit pretty much all of my casual photos here, including recently some raw ones too. Next up, we have Google Docs, and this is in the photo and video folder because I primarily use it to script my videos. Again, as a big part of digital minimalism is keeping everything centralized, using the Google Docs suite means I can work on scripts at my computer. Then when it comes to actually recording videos, I can read them from my phone. So yeah, I use this pretty much every time I make a video. Following on, we have Netflix. Now, up until recently, I probably wouldn't have kept this on my phone, as I don't think it's particularly good for productivity, but after recently enjoying 2 shows, I decided to put it on here, and honestly, it hasn't really affected my productivity at all. As for what I've been watching, I've just finished Afterlife, which I liked a lot, and overall, this is probably my favorite streaming service other than YouTube, and as long as I don't get distracted by it, I have no problem keeping it on my phone. Next, we actually have an app that I just did a video on. It's called Yammer. It's a pro camera app for the iPhone, and it has some really cool features. Initially, I just downloaded it for the white balance feature and manual controls, but when I saw that the pro version actually had raw photo controls, I bought it immediately and have been using it constantly ever since. Up next, we have my social folder, which only actually has 3 apps in it. The first app I have in here is Twitter, and I personally use this to keep up to date with all the developments in the tech world, as well as with some of my friends and favorite YouTubers. It's not my favorite social media platform, that's probably, as I said, Instagram, but it's still useful, and I use it pretty much every day, so I do keep it here. Following on from this, we do have the Facebook Messenger. Now, I barely use this, but a few of my friends don't have iMessage, or the next app I'm going to talk about, so I do keep this on here, despite not actually having Facebook on my phone. And the final app I have in here is Telegram. A lot of my friends are on Android, so to message them without spending unlimited texts, I keep this on my phone. There is, however, another feature that I really like. Back when I was using Android and didn't have AirDrop, I used this app to send myself full resolution, uncompressed photos from my computer to my phone so I could post on Instagram. Overall, while I still definitely use Instagram and iMessage more, it is still very much a useful app. Moving on, we have my medical folder. In here, I have Patient Access, which I won't show for privacy reasons. Patient Access is an NHS app that allows me to order medicines and book appointments through this app. I personally find this very very useful. Also in this folder, I have What 3 Words, which is a fantastic location app as it creates a concise location indicator. So if you ever get lost, it's a lot clearer where you actually are. Finally, in this folder, we have Headspace. I've been using this for about a year now, and for me, it works great. I often find that after a session with the app, I can think a lot clearer, I'm a lot more focused, and can simply get things done. So I highly recommend checking out this app if you haven't. After this, we have the Gamers folder, and honestly, there is very little point in me having this folder anymore. There's literally one game in there. I barely ever play games on my phone, but still, if I'm in a situation where I need to just kill some time, I'll always have Coffee Corp. Easily my favorite mobile game. Next up, we have a singular app, Bandcamp. Bandcamp is an independent music releasing app where a lot of my favorite music is released. Now, the reason it is where it is on the screen is simply due to muscle memory. Simply put, I used to have this and SND Wave in the same folder here. So if I were to reorganize just purely based on aesthetics, I'd have to go through the process of like retraining my hands. So yeah, I personally wanted to leave it where it was. The final folder I have on my phone is my productivity folder. There's only actually 2 apps in this folder, but I use them together to help me properly plan and track my time. The first app I have in here is called Productive. This is, in essence, a prettier version of Todoist, which is what I used up until recently, but I downloaded a trial of Productive, enjoyed it a lot, forgot to cancel, and accidentally bought a year's subscription, so I'm gonna get my money's worth. I use this to list and check off tasks that I've completed throughout the day. It's super intuitive, and this actually helps me to see how much I have left to do. To actually dedicate and see when I've got to do things by though, I actually use Google Calendar. I like this specifically because it has a really nice color coding system that allows me to see which task I should be on pretty much instantly. Throughout the time I've been using this app, I found that I have been more productive as I can clearly plan my time and stay on track. To help the system remain effective, I don't want to fragment the apps into 2 separate folders, so despite there only being 2 apps, I wanted to keep them together. Overall, while it is perhaps a little bit more on my phone now than there was 6 months ago, I still make a conscious effort to make sure that I'm only installing apps that I know I'll use. I'm also still centralizing my digital experience wherever possible, and I'm still being wary of how much time I spend on these devices. Alright, so that's it for today. Feel free to let me know in the comments some of the apps that you guys use, and as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to see more content like this, and smash that subscribe button. I'm done for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.